I'm Tim Sullivan, 710 KURV.
Broadcasting from the Valley's All-American Truck Headquarters studio at PayneAutomall.com. You're listening to 710 KURV. From the KURV Broadcast Center in McAllen, Texas, this is a KURV special, a McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. This KURV special is powered by Rio Bank, co-sponsored by Vega Roofing. And now, a McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum with your hosts, Sergio Sanchez and Roxanne Flores.
Truly appreciate your time, especially all these wonderful candidates making the time to be with us today. I know it's been a long day for y'all doing all these forums and debates everywhere. I'm Sergio Sanchez, along with Roxanne Flores. So normally right now, 2 to 4 p.m., it's afternoons with Roxanne Flores, and we appreciate you joining us on 710 KURV. Here's a chance for us to hear from the 5 individuals who wish to become mayor of McAllen. If at any time you wish to participate in the program, we encourage you to join us on the 710 KURV Facebook Live broadcast. Our producer and host, Zach Cantu, is behind the scenes managing all that. And if you post a question there and it's a good one, then Zach will send it over to us. So here's the basic format for this afternoon's program. We will start with the basic introduction by each of the candidates, opening, and we will also have closing statements, 2 minutes each. Each candidate will have an opportunity to bring one question to the forum to ask the fellow candidates. Roxanne and I are working off a pool of questions that she and I have accumulated over a couple of days, well, several days, where people have checked in from various sectors of McAllen, from local business, medicine, property owners, business owners, citizens. We have a pool of questions. They're very similar to other forums and debates, but we do have some unique issues that we'd like to address today that go back several decades for the city. Again, we appreciate you joining us on Newstalk 710 KURV. Rio Bank, thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity. The order of the questions and participation for this afternoon is based on how you will see the candidates in ballot order on the city ballot. Dr. Shahid Rashid will be number 1 on that ballot. Veronica Vela Whitacre will be number 2 on the ballot. Number 3, Michael Fallek. Number 4, Javier Villalobos. And number 5, Othal Brand. So let me pitch it over. No, actually, before the question, let's do the introductory statement first. Dr. Shahid Rashid, we'll give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself to the audience. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, my fellow citizens. I thank 710 KURV for organizing this forum and providing us with an opportunity to connect with our fellow citizens. I'm Dr. Shahid Rashid. As I stated throughout this campaign, I'm not a politician, but a physician, a public health expert, a philanthropist, and an entrepreneur who cares deeply about my patients, my community, and our city of McAllen. Things are not going well for our great city. While McAllen is the #1 city in the nation for its retail trade, but is one of the poorest cities in the nation with the highest number of cases of diabetes, obesity, heart diseases, and depression. Poverty and these chronic illnesses have a direct correlation with each other. We have among us the 4 mayoral candidates who have been serving as the commissioners and board members on planning and zoning and irrigation committees for decades. And yet we still have unrelenting problems like bad streets, flooding, traffic congestion, and poor living conditions. Lack of planning and mishandling of refugee crisis at the border, pandemic, freeze, and power breakdown further aggravated our already fragile economy. Not exactly a recipe for success. It does not have to be that way. We can have a better life, better living conditions, and a safe and healthy environment to raise our families. All we need is a change in leadership. It's time for change. It's time for new leadership from the grassroots with a fresh vision. We can create new jobs and invest in our health and education. We can achieve these objectives by cutting wasteful spendings, eliminating self-enriching jobs for city officials and appointed positions, resetting our priorities and diversifying our economic profile without raising taxes. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Right, sir. I'm a little rusty on the whole debate thing. I apologize. Since we see each other on Zoom, I meant to tell you this at the beginning. If you see me do this, and everybody can see me on the screen, correct? All candidates? You see me do this, hold up the white card. You got about 10 seconds left in your statement. I would prefer to do this than to have to tell you you've reached your 2-minute limit. Let me go to Veronica Vela Whitacre. Commissioner, go ahead.
Can you repeat the question for me, please? This is my introduction.
It's the introductory segment. Okay. 2 minutes, Commissioner.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veronica Vela Whitacre, and I am currently the McAllen Mayor Pro Tem and City Commissioner for District 6. I've been a commissioner in McAllen for the last 8 years, and I'm very blessed to have been able to join this great team and learn as much as I have in the last 8 years. Not only do I have had the experience of being on the City Commission, but I've of course had many experiences prior to the 8 years of experience with the Commission, but also in a lot of different boards in the City of McAllen, CDBG of McAllen, McAllen Educational Foundation, McAllen Leadership, advisory boards on the City of McAllen, on the city's organizations. I also belonged to a lot of other organizations, of course, in the last couple of years. I'm sorry, but I just want to continue with what we're doing already in the City of McAllen. I want to continue with projects that we have going on as we speak. I want to complete a lot of the projects that we have going on as we speak. Of course, these are drainage projects, they're traffic projects, because we did a traffic study a couple of years back, and I want to complete those. This traffic study, we have done some improvements in the last couple of years, but of course, as the days go by, every single day we are growing, and McAllen has grown by leaps and bounds since I can remember. And so we do have problems at the 8, noon, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we have added some right turns and left turns on some of the the streets where they're really busy. It has not helped as much as we expected it to do. We've done a traffic study with the lights so that we can sync the lights going north and south, east and west. And I think we need to do some more improvements on that. And so we've done a second study to figure out, okay, what can we do to tweak what we've already done and put in place so that we have smooth traffic flow at all hours of the day. Drainage projects, of course, those are always ongoing. We did 23 drainage projects last year, and today we are working on 38 projects. So we have also.
Hey, Commissioner, we're at 2 minutes. Appreciate your introduction.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I know that on your screen things might look different, but if you can see me as the moderator, I'll just pick up my little white flag and take you about 10 seconds left. I wish to do this for you to see it instead of having to interrupt.
I need to focus looking at you then. I'm sorry. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I'm not much to look at. I know real like I didn't feel about but easy. You got to look in. Michael Fallek, appreciate you. And I say the same thing for every one of y'all. Public service is a gig that is sometimes unrewarding and thankless. And now all of y'all, some of y'all running for the first time for something. Thank you to each one of you for your service and running for mayor. Michael Fallek, running for mayor of McAllen. 2-minute introduction. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. Appreciate that. I'm sure my name is Michael Fallek. I'm sure most of you listening or watching heard my interviews that I did on KURV with Roxanne, Sergio, Davis, and of course, Zach, that went into detail about who I am and about why I'm running for mayor and my vision for the city. But just in case you were unavailable and didn't hear any of those broadcasts, let me tell you I'm running to be the next mayor of McAllen, to build on McAllen's many successes and to identify and correct our weaknesses. I intend to focus on the business environment in McAllen. The pandemic has exposed just how fragile our economic base is, but it also shows how many opportunities we have. I have said over and over again that there is absolutely no reason McAllen can't bring in new companies and jobs that will help our community flourish. We have a young, dynamic, bilingual workforce. There is absolutely no reason McAllen's per capita income should lag behind the state average by 40%. We need to support our small businesses. But we must also court new companies to McAllen. We must build coalitions with our business community, with MISD and our universities, and with our neighboring cities, county, and state to recruit new investment to McAllen and the Valley. My focus on business is not just for the sake of business, though. It is only by bringing in more business and creating new revenues that we can then focus on all the quality of life issues that matter to us all without raising your tax rate. Issues like continuing to improve drainage and mobility, Wi-Fi connectivity, affordable housing, to help strengthen our schools and provide more resources to police, fire, and other city departments, and so much more. This is how we address the challenges of improving our city and our quality of life. My career has prepared me for this time. I've devoted my career to building new businesses, investing and reinvesting in McAllen, and creating hundreds of jobs. Vamos a trabajar como una gran familia, unidos por solo McAllen, con prosperidad para todos los residentes.
Thank you,
I'm
Mike.
Michael Fallek, and I hope to be your next mayor.
Thank you, sir. Javier Villalobos, running for mayor of McAllen. Introduction, 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Certainly. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for the invite. Sir, it's nice to see you. Talk about thankless positions. I think you and I had one, but we're doing something else now. Anyway, look, the only thing I have to offer.
I'm sorry, I got to explain that inside joke. Let me pause for a second. He was chairman for the Republicans in Hidalgo County. And then I got this bright idea to become chairman for the Republicans in Hidalgo County. We'll leave it at that. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, look, the only thing I can offer is 25 years of business experience and 23 years of governmental experience doing exactly what municipalities do. And I'm talking about streets, sidewalks, fire protection, police protection, everything, parks, everything we do. I'm talking actual experience, telling elected officials, even though I wasn't elected back then, telling elected officials what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, helping them finance it when they didn't know how to do it. For example, when I represented San Juan, got them $5 million to be able to redo some of their streets. International Bridge in Donna. It's incredible the stuff that we've done. What I've done also, even when I was not elected, saving the city of McAllen plus the surrounding areas over $1 billion. Why? Because of my conservative thinking. Now, I take a little issue here with the doc when he states that McAllen is not doing well, because let me tell you, McAllen is doing very well. And we've had good leadership now, and we've had good leadership in the past. And that's the reason McAllen is the gem of the Valley. We have been doing okay, and we can, but of course we can always do better with good planning, and we keep on continue building on what we already have built. And there is no void in leadership. We have good qualified individuals that have been there, that have been commissioners, that have been there for a while, that know and understand the intricacies of government. It's very important. Now, and I agree with a lot of stuff that Mr. Fallek says, but we've been doing that since 1979, when the law was passed that says, look, economic development, this is what you can do. I ask you for your support and your goal to be the next mayor of McAllen.
Thank you, Javier Villalobos. And we go to Othal Brand Jr., wanting your vote as well to become mayor of McAllen. Othal, go ahead.
2 minutes of introduction. One, born in McAllen, raised in McAllen, been here since 1955. Went to school here, graduated from McAllen in 71, graduated from TCU in 76. Family of 4 kids, all grown and gone. My background is farming for the first 30 years of 30 full-time, part-time of my young adulthood and midlife. After that, I went into tower communication business, build broadcast towers and turn around and serve most of the cell companies in the valley. Well, all of them at some point or the other have been involved with that, and law enforcement as well. But having been and established in that business for 30 years as well, most of my time in the last 18 years has been in the water district and in nonprofit faith-based organization for the last 18 years. Water district, we have been the major supplier of water for the city of McAllen. Certainly even before I was there, still are to this day. Most reliable, prepared for a lot of different disasters that have occurred, almost occurred to the city of McAllen. In 2008, we've supplied 100% of all the water for the city of McAllen, because the board and I had the vision to raise the pump station so it could not be flooded. Within the next year, we put in backup generators over a decade ago, and that came in handy of this last freeze. We were the only one that was able to supply the water to the city reliably without any electrical interruptions. Those are the kind of things that are visionary for a board and for individuals as well. Nonprofit, we've done 18 years is what there as well. And been chairman of the board of trustees for the last 16 years on that board, and 16 years as president of the water district.
All right, sir. We're at 2 minutes. Thank you for your introduction. You're listening to the Rio Bank News Talk 710 KURV, McAllen Mayor Candidate Forum. Your participation, questions, remarks, they're all welcome. You just need to do the Facebook thing. I'm sorry, you got to do the Facebook thing. I know you hate Facebook, but maybe you got to do it. You got the app? Go to News Talk 710 KURV Facebook Live. We're broadcasting there. And our producer and host, Zach Cantil, will lob any good questions in our direction. Going to pay some bills real quick. It's News Talk 710 KURV Facebook Live. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Sergio Sanchez along with Roxanne Flores, and we'll be back with our candidates and the pool of questions that we've attained. And stick around because we're allowing each of the candidates to also bring a question to the floor and talk with the other candidates. This is News Talk 710 KURV, Rio Bank, 710 KURV Candidate Forum.
Each Rio Bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Exactly what is happening right now.
There's no surge.
The reality that's happening at the southern border.
What's happening? Thousands of people who have COVID. You've got children at the border. I had no clue what was happening.
Wait, there's more.
With so much going on around the world, it may be hard to keep up.
What's happening around the rest of the world?
What's happening in the pandemic?
We'll keep you updated.
People need to stay informed.
Informing the public.
News Talk 710 KURV and KURV.com.
Each Rio Bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
This is your home for Fox News Radio and the Valley's morning news. Weekdays starting at 6. News Talk 710 KURV. KURV.
Time is 2:23. This is News Talk 710 KURV, Rio Bank 710 KURV, McAllen Mayor Candidate Forum. Your questions, comments, welcome at News Talk 710 KURV, Facebook Live. Let's go to Roxanne Flores, and she's got the first question for the afternoon. Each candidate, we got a couple of minutes to answer that question. Go ahead, Roxanne.
Well, first, thank each and every one of you guys for joining us this afternoon. My first question is it time to insist Washington open up the international bridges to so-called non-essential trade?
And of course, we're going by ballot order. Candidate number one on the ballot would be Dr. Shahid Rashid. Go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's the time that we since the vaccination is rolling out and the disease, we have the policy that how to address those things. Yes, this is the time that we need to open up slowly but gradually the international the bridges for the non-essential work. And but we have to be very careful that to make a policy that our public is not exposed to the virus, and so we have to have our strict policies placed. It should be in place so that the disease is not being spread out in our communities. And for that matter, what we can do that we can have them to have their COVID testing before they come down here, the way it is the international travel is happening. So this is, and also if they have proof of immunization, that could be one of the most valuable tool that we could be able to assess. And that is going to give us a little bit of indication that how we'll be able to open up our borders more for the trade. And but as I stated, we have to be careful because we are still in the middle of the pandemic. The vaccines are rolling out, And the people are realizing, yes, we have to follow the CDC guidelines, and those has to be followed in order to have this thing happen.
That's Dr. Shahid Rashid. Let's go to candidate 2, Veronica, Vela, Whitacre. Same question, Commissioner. Time to open the international bridges?
Thank you. I do believe that we could open the international bridges, and of course, as it's already been mentioned, we definitely need to open them up with much caution. I believe that a lot of families have been without their parents or without their brothers or their sisters. A lot of them, the nationals, already are living in McAllen, and so I think it's important for a lot of us to open the bridges, or the federal to open the bridges for us. More than anything else, for family reasons. I think that's the most important reason why. They must follow the CDC guidelines, and I think they must follow and get tested, either have a test in the last couple of days, or take their temperatures. They just follow all the guidelines when they decide to come to McAllen and our surrounding areas, to please wear a mask, and that to be able to stay safe, and show everybody that you're here to visit your family, but at the same time follow our CDC guidelines and make sure that your mask is on, sanitize your hand, everything that we're asked everyone else to do. So it's important for our community, it's important for our economy, and most importantly of all, it's important for the families to see one another.
Michael Fallek.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It is absolutely time that we open up our bridges to non-essential travel. We are a border community. Our population, both on this side of the border as well as those living in Mexico, consider the back and forth travel an important part of their lives, not just to visit families on both sides of the border, but to engage in their normal business dealings. It is vital for McAllen to have those visitors come across our border, spend money in our community. So much of our economy depends on that cross-border traffic. Our sales tax revenues depend on that traffic, hotel, motel revenues, bridge revenues. This is such an integral part of our local economy, and we absolutely must petition the federal government to open up those borders. We all know that there are other populations coming across the border as we speak. It doesn't make any sense that those people are coming across the border, and we can deal with the immigrants and the asylum seekers with empathy, but it makes no sense that we have those individuals coming across the border, but we can't make accommodations for the regular business travel and those seeking to come and spend money in our community. It makes no sense not to allow them across the border. We need to get those bridges open as quickly as possible. And then while we're talking about the border and the bridges, we need to also petition our federal government for additional infrastructure spending. We need to expand our bridges. We need to increase the number of lanes. We need to increase the personnel that is at the border so that that cross-border traffic can increase, so we can bring new business and new investment into our town.
Thank you, Mike. Javier Villalobos, go ahead, sir.
I think that's a no-brainer. I think, unfortunately, our federal government doesn't always do what's right. And the question is whether we should petition, and the answer is we have been petitioning. Actually, not just the city, but through Border Trade Alliance and different organizations that deal with border issues from here to Texas all the way to California. So the answer is yes, it definitely, we need to open up. Now, one of the beautiful things we did realize with this pandemic, and if you look at the sales tax, we have realized that fortunately the Rio Grande Valley can be more self-sustaining. We have been doing well. Now, what's going to happen is once everything pretty much opens up, we know that some of our people are going to start traveling elsewhere, and then we definitely are going to need our Mexican friends to come over and spend their money. Now, we need to concentrate on making sure that whoever lives here tries to spend their money here. And if we can get some of our Mexican friends coming over, we are going to be doing fantastic, even better than that.
Othal Brand.
Being the last, I don't know there's much more I could add to what these fine ladies and gentlemen have already said, except that, yes, I'm in total agreement that it makes absolutely no sense that you have a federal government with policies of letting illegals come by of 170,000 in 1 month, and God knows how many more illegally. There is no reason not to have these bridges open for those that have documentation and have made steps and open up so we can have our economy back to normal for our neighboring folks across the river. Absolutely.
Stand for. Yeah, I knew that was going to be a pretty short question. We got another break here, bottom of the hour. It's time for news and pay a couple of bills. Time is 2:30. You're listening to the Rio Bank 710 KURV McAllen Candidate Forum, News Talk 710 KURV. We welcome your participation at 710 KURV Facebook Live. The news is next.
Each Rio Bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Your afternoon's got more dynamic. It's the 956 Drive Home with a dynamic duo, Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
Hey, a freak show.
Weekday afternoons starting at 4. Zach and Davis will bring you the latest news, interviews, and trending topics.
Are you ready, kids?
Sure, we could have gotten SpongeBob SquarePants and Patrick Star, but we have a modest budget. So it's the 956 Drive Home with Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin. Weekday afternoons at 4 on News Talk 710 KURV.
Each Rio Bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Top and bottom of the hour news. This is News Talk 710 KURV.
2:32 on News Talk 710 KURV. Good afternoon. I'm Tim Sullivan. A source briefed on a mass killing in South Carolina says the person who shot and killed 5 people, including a prominent doctor, was former NFL player Philip Adams. The source tells AP that Adams then shot himself to death early this morning. The source said Adams had been treated by the doctor, Dr. Robert Leslie, but it's not known yet for what. Wall Street, the Dow up 48 points, NASDAQ up 122, S&P 500 up 16. Partly sunny, hot this afternoon, increasing clouds tonight, becoming breezy, lows in the low 70s. Right now, 92 at 710 KURV. News at the top and bottom of the hour and when it breaks, and on demand at KURV.com. I'm Tim Sullivan, 710 KURV.
It's something we all share. You either like it,
Oh man, how about this nice day we're having?
or you don't.
It's a hot one today.
And everyone has an opinion on it.
Man, we need rain.
No more rain.
Beautiful day.
Brutal.
Tune in for complete and accurate weather forecasts with AccuWeather.
Strong and severe storms approaching from the low to mid 80s from daytime highs.
Weekday mornings on the Valley's Morning News, starting at 6 on News Talk 710 KURV and KURV.com. Broadcasting from the Valley's All-American Truck Headquarters studio at PayneAutomall.com. You're listening to 710 KURV.
Time is 2:34, News Talk 710 KURV. I'm Sergio Sanchez along with Roxanne Flores. You're listening to the Rio Bank 710 KURV McAllen Mayor's Candidate Forum. Back to Roxanne. Next question, Roxanne. Go ahead.
Next question for y'all is, do you support the idea of becoming a metropolitan statistical area, perhaps named Brownsville, McAllen, Edinburgh? Why or why not? Dr. Rashid.
Dr. Shahid Rashid, you're first on the list. Good answer. Yeah.
Roxanne, please repeat this question. It was just a little, I couldn't hear that well.
Do you support the idea of becoming a metropolitan statistical area, perhaps being named McAllen, Brownsville, Edinburgh? Why or why not?
Yes, it's always good to have the collaboration with surrounding city. And we are already the hub of the MSA, which includes the Mission, the Edinburgh. And so that's including the Brownsville. It is also very, very good idea. The reason is that Brownsville is picking up its economy by having that SpaceX there, and also they have the car dealership, and so I forgot what's the Tesla car dealership they have. I'm sorry. So these are the revenue streams. These are the the collaborative efforts that could be able to not only enhance our economy, but will be able to let us, share with the neighboring city. So always it is a golden rule that always have your backyard very healthy and clean, because it's going to help you. Because if we are healthy, neighbors are healthy, we'll all grow it together. So I'm in the favor of that, to have including the Brownsville into this thing.
There's Dr. Shahid Rashid. Veronica, Vela, Whitacre. Go ahead, Commissioner.
All right, I don't believe that, we should truly become a metropolitan area because McAllen is thriving. Of course, we're the leader of all of the Rio Grande Valley. But I do believe that we do need to have partnerships, and we need to work with each other, and we need to collaborate with different ideas and activities and different differences for each one of us for the city. I think we need to be together, and we need to do projects together, but again, still be our own city. I think to be able to govern, the entire Rio Grande Valley would be a little bit more difficult, and I know it can be done, of course, like in San Antonio, Houston, Dallas. It's done all the time. But I just believe that we've all worked very hard to get our cities where they are today. And I think it's important that we continue to lead in that direction. So as becoming united, definitely. But as becoming a metropolitan area, I think that we need to each govern our own city and continue in the route that we've been going.
Michael Fallek.
Yeah, this is actually a good question. The MSA designation is really an important factor. When you're talking about recruiting new companies to come to town, when you're talking about building in additional investment. As part of my job already, as a developer, I am out recruiting new companies to our area. One of the very first conversations that you have in every one of these instances is what are the demographics of your MSA? How many people are there? What is the standard of living? What is the per capita income? What is the educational attainment level? These are important factors. If we could increase the numbers that we have to show to other companies, other stakeholders out there that we are trying to recruit to our community, if we had that ability, it would give us another leg up in that effort to bring new investment to town. We can already see by the inclusion of the MPOs the additional funding that will be brought to our area by combining with our neighbors. This is a huge issue. All of the governments along our border region that combine to form that MPO, they're to be lauded because it is going to have a huge effect over the next decade. The addition of an MSA through our border region would increase the visibility nationwide and internationally and allow us to bring more companies, more investment, and more jobs to our area. I do believe we should look to expand our MSA.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Javier Villalobos?
Very simple, like I said a little bit earlier about being self-sustaining. But when you think about it, it's having a regional effect or having a regional state of mind is very important. You talk about federal funding that goes to the state, comes to the areas. It's very important to think that way. A lot of times people don't, because everybody wants to have their own kingdom. And I deal with it a lot when I've dealt with different municipalities. And I always say, and I go keep on saying it right now and forever, we got to start thinking regionally. It is very important. So whoever wins and whoever's listening to this, we here in the Valley needs to start thinking regionally.
Thank you, Javier. Othal Brand.
Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing I want to tell you that the first word in that MSA ought to be McAllen. Okay. No, we all agree with that. I know we all agree with that.
And let me say this real quick. Let me pause real quick. The reason that it was listed Brownsville, McAllen, Edinburgh, had to go back and check. Those are the top 3 cities by population. Usually when they name an MSA is based on the top 3 by population. So that's why. But no, anyone in McAllen.
We accept that, but there's always exceptions to the rules.
All right. But continue. Go ahead.
Thank you for that interruption.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But no, I think all of it's well said among all 4. And all I'll add to that is that when you're talking to state and federal people, they like talking in terms of an MSA. it gives them a great, they've kind of, I think they've pushed this a lot in our direction in the private sector anyway, because it's easier for them when they talk about bringing money or doing statistical analysis. They like to be talking to maybe one large area than to every little city in the valley. And I think that's some of the reason for that. And you can't, and when it is an MSA like we're talking about, it spreads some of the strength of all of us into the total picture for those federal and state level agencies that we deal with. And so I think it has some great pluses. I do. It's got to be McAllen first.
Let me share one of those questions that came in from our listeners, stating that public servants have a unique insight of organizational needs, future projects for the organization that they serve in. And that is inside knowledge and can provide the opportunity for corruption. Now, do you believe that this is an issue that needs the attention of City Hall? Let's start with candidate 1 on the ballot, Dr. Shahid Rashid. Go ahead, sir.
Sergio, please, there is some the connection problem. I lost.
Do you need me to repeat the question, sir?
Please, I'm sorry, because I'm sitting next to my operating room, so we have some problem with the reception. Go ahead,
I can repeat the question one more time, sir, if you wish.
Please,
I can repeat the question. Yes?
Please. Yes, please.
Okay. So public servants have a unique insight on organizational needs and future projects, and the inside knowledge can provide the opportunity for corruption. So do you believe this is an issue that needs to be addressed at City Hall?
I agree with you that this is a very vital issue that has to be addressed, because we assume a public office for the betterment of the public, not the myself enrichment. All these things are that we sit in that office to serve the citizens of our city who we represent. And that's a privilege. That is the trust and the faith our people have invested in us. And we must uphold that faith and trust. And yes, that is a very vital issue. And that's what I believe in must be the foremost consideration for every candidate who is sitting in this office. That this privileged information must not be used for self-enrichment. Thank you.
Veronica Vela Whitacre. Go ahead, Commissioner. Commissioner, you need to open up your microphone. Go ahead and start again. Open up your microphone and start again.
I understand you're asking about corruption within the city or the knowledge that we have. If
Let
it's
me ask the question the way that it was worded. Public servants have unique insight of organizational needs and future projects, and this inside knowledge provides the opportunity for corruption. Do you believe that this is an issue that needs to be addressed at McAllen City Hall?
since I've been on the city commission for the last 8 years, I don't believe that we've ever had that problem or any of that ever in any of our meetings. I don't think anybody has let anybody else know what is going on, especially when we have, mainly when we have executive sessions. Of course, we're not supposed to share any of the information that we've learned until we're as approved, and then we can go out into the public. But I don't believe in the 8 years that I have been there that this has happened. And if it has, I never heard about it, or I wasn't aware of it. So do we need transparency? I think everybody screams for transparency. And I do believe McAllen also has been as transparent as possible. You can always be more transparent, than others. But in terms of corruption, I think McAllen has kept its head up high, has stayed strong, and has the confidence of the city, the citizens, that we are doing right by them.
Michael Fallek.
Yeah, we're lucky here in McAllen to have a history of strong leadership in our government, and I think we can all be thankful for that over the course of our history. While we do know that corruption does occur, and some other cities have had those issues develop, we have not had to deal with that issue in McAllen, and thankfully so. But it is important that we keep our eye on the issue. It is not an insignificant one. But that's the reason that we have rules in place to deal with these items. There's conflict of interest rules that every office holder in the city must sign and abide. That is critical that we continue with that. But transparency is key. You've heard from time to time that sunshine is the best disinfectant. I can't disagree with that in the slightest. We must be transparent in all dealings. There will be times that discussions are made behind closed doors in sessions, but then we come out from those sessions and we deal with the public and give the answers to what decisions have been made. And then when there is when the confidential information is no longer crucial to keep confidential, we need to release that information. We can do so by way of freedom information requests, but it is often the case that we shouldn't require our citizens to go through the process of a freedom of information request. We should be sharing the information as soon and as completely as we are able. And this is something that I believe in strongly. It is something that is important going forward, and we will be fair and transparent in all of our dealings.
Thank you, Mike. Let me repeat the question since it is very specifically worded and carefully worded. Public servants have unique insight of organizational needs and future projects, and this inside knowledge provides the opportunity for corruption. Do you believe that this is an issue that needs attention at City Hall? Let's go to the next candidate, Javier Villalobos. Go ahead, Javier.
You know, Serge, I'm proud and happy to report that in my years there in the commission, there hasn't been an inkling of me even thinking of any of the commissioners or our mayor doing anything improper. I'm very happy to report that. So do we really have to get into those issues? Not necessarily. Should there be something, I'm sure that either myself, Commissioner Whitacre, or anybody else would raise the issue. Now, but it doesn't stop there, because other people in our staff know a lot of information that we know, whether it's in executive session or other areas. It's very important that those individuals, top administration, also abide by the rules that us as elected officials do. I think it's very important that we make sure that we police each other, even though I don't think it's necessary, but we should. We should always do the right thing, but also make sure that our staff does the right thing.
Othal Brand.
You know, I want to tell you what. Now, we don't let's be some realistic here. Transparency. We had to have Terry Canales go to the state legislature to get the contract for Iglesias. The city would not release it. Conflict of interest. We've had some of that with local entities when it had to deal with drainage in this city and who was more important, the citizens of McAllen or the entities dealt with. We're here to talk about the substance, not the actors. But you've had that, and you've had it during the term of some of us running now. Freedom of information request. Last time I ran, the city had a horrible record of a large number of freedom of information requests going to the Attorney General's office for an opinion and stringing out for years a response. That's not what we're looking for. We all want transparency. We're all going to say that on the surface, and I think we all mean it to the heart of to the bone of it. But I can tell you, and this goes back a long time. I watched when my father ran. There was inside information when he first ran for mayor. One of the commitments he made was that he would not buy or sell land while he was in the office of city as mayor, because they do get inside information for economic money, for development, for water, sewer, streets, and saw it abused. And I will tell you, in my lifetime, even since my father, I've seen several city commissioners and others and get into businesses they were never in before, but got into once they got on city commission and got into real estate and development. And not going to name any of them. It's not important. Thank you.
Thank you, Othal. At 10 minutes to the hour, time's 2:50. You're listening to the Real Bank 710 KURV McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. You can join us. Put your questions at Newstalk 710 KURV Facebook Live.
Each Rio bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Your Houston Astros play here.
To left field, looking up. See you later.
Catch Astros baseball action all season long on News Talk 710 KURV.
Hits it into left center field, and that's going to get down for a base hit.
Every hit, every home run.
Drills this deep to left field, and you can kiss that one goodbye.
Houston Astros baseball is powered by Riverside Development Services and by MissionIncredible.com. We're your home, RGV, for Houston Astros baseball. News Talk 710 KURV.
Each Rio bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Audio streaming on KURV.com. Powered by South Texas Buick GMC, McAllen Mission.
Got about 8 minutes left in the hour. This is the Rio Bank 710 KURV McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. I'm Sergio Sanchez along with Roxanne Flores and our 5 candidates for mayor in McAllen. Go ahead, Roxanne.
All right, this is a long question, so please pay attention, and I'm going to go as slowly as I possibly can. From a listener, with a healthy reserve fund and a big federal bailout of local governments recently approved by Congress, should McAllen lower taxes? Yes or no? And if McAllen taps into federal relief funds, what should the city use that money on? Dr. Rashid.
Thank you. First and foremost, right now we are in the middle of the pandemic and our economy is not as good as it's supposed to be. And what I recommend that we need to freeze the taxes where we are right now, and we should work on to rebuilding our economy and just creating more revenue streams by having more like a manufacturing, technological, and medical industry to beef up our economy. So that's one is the very important factor. And so once we have our economy, which is good, then we will start working on to lower the taxes. In addition to that, the money which we are receiving from the government, which is the stimulus package, the American relief and otherwise, so those has to be distributed in a way that it should stimulate the growth, but not be just spend it, and rather we should invest it. We should use that money as a seed money to build the future projects so that we could be able to create more revenue. So that money should be used in a very, very careful manner, because this is the money which our citizens, they have contributed over the years. And this is, I consider it as the saving which we had for the bad times. And so we have to use that money in order to generate the more businesses and to support our economy. So that is going to help us to reduce our taxes and help us to improve our living conditions and in our city.
Veronica, Vela, Whitacre, go ahead. You're muted again, Phil. You might want to open up the microphone.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Thank you. All right. City of McAllen is going to receive some funding. That is correct. And we do have ideas of how we're going to use these funds. First and foremost, of course, because I am also a resident of the city of McAllen, of course, I don't want taxes to be raised either. Again, I will emphasize that we're one of the third in the state of Texas with lower taxes than anybody else. And so I would like to see that continue during the next couple of years, because it's important that we don't raise them and really have people move out and not be able to pay them or have difficulties or struggle. As far as the monies are concerned, we have several ideas already in place to use these monies. Some, of course, so that we can continue working on the Ansel Lewis Bridge. We received funding for that from the state a year and a half ago, and that was tremendous for the continuation and the completion of our Ansel Lewis Bridge. But it would be nice to be able to use some of this funding to reduce the debt that we already have for the bridge, for the Ansel Lewis Bridge. We have fire station number 8 that we need to upgrade and probably just maybe even remodel, redo, or just, tear it down and redo it completely again. And also with their fire department equipment. So we have that in place, and an idea as one of the uses of this funds. We are also, as I've mentioned in the past, we trying to help traffic flow and, because we did a study. We have east and west corridors that we need some work also done on. And so this monies could be used. Of course, all of these are improvements for our city. So to improve the east-west corridors for traffic to flow more smoothly. As I said in the past, also earlier today, grants, business grants for those who are still struggling, for those who just need that small little edge in order to continue. And the last one are other projects in progress. So thank you.
Michael Fallek.
Thank you for the question. We do have a once-in-a-generation opportunity with the new funding mechanisms that are coming into our city and our region. The city is getting $42.6 million. The county is getting $212 million. Our McAllen Independent School District is getting $107 million. These are enormous amounts of money, and we absolutely have to come up with a plan for how the city is going to spend this money in the different categories that can really make a difference to our citizens and the city as a whole. It's also crucial that we cooperate and we communicate with the other stakeholders, with our school district and with the county, to understand how they're going to be spending the money, so that we are not doubling on the same type of item. By combining, at least by understanding what each entity will be spending money on, we have the ability to leverage out those dollars to the greatest effect. In terms of the city's actual spending of the money it will have, we absolutely need to spend additional money for small business grants. We know the our local small business community has suffered throughout the pandemic, and we have a unique opportunity to help support them. In addition, we can do job training for those that are currently not employed, including vocational training. We also ought to set aside money for housing assistance and housing affordability. And we definitely need to complete the Wi-Fi connectivity outreach to different areas of our community where we don't have equity between one side of town to another. As for the tax rate, one of the limitations on the rescue funds is that you're not allowed to use it to reduce your taxes. And so that is not something that I believe we probably have our ability to do at the moment. But we need to come up with a plan overall for how to effectively, fairly spend this money.
Thank you, Mike. Let me go back to Roxanne, get a quick repeat of the question. Go ahead, Roxanne.
Yes, sir. With a healthy reserve fund and a big federal bailout of local governments recently approved by Congress, should McAllen lower taxes, yes or no? And if McAllen taps into federal relief funds, what should the city use the money on?
Even if we wanted to, I think the answer is we can't. But what we can do is what we did with the first allotment last year. First of all, we got to take care and replenish the budget, because if we don't replenish the budget, then we cannot give our citizens the type of services they're accustomed to. First of all, that has to be the key thing. Otherwise, our streets get dilapidated, or police protection gets lowered, our fire department, everything goes down. We have to replenish our budget, make sure that we provide the same type of services. Now, once we do that, then yeah, we do what we did the last time. Let's look at small businesses. We really assisted them. We should do it again. Wi-Fi, let's finish it up. Look at different infrastructure projects we had. Let's finish them up. We can do all that different type of matters. Now, at the very end, you get into the quality of life issues, and we want to do that too. But you know what? We cannot lower taxes. But guess what we can do? We pay water, we pay sewer, we pay trash. We can get rebates to our citizens. We can help them out. It's not a reduction in tax, but it is an assistance to our taxpayers. After we do the rest of the things that we have done, we have funds available. I think we definitely need to talk to our administration, the rest of the commissioners, and make sure we get some of that money back into the pockets of our citizens.
Othal Brand.
What I hear is a city first. What about city? The Wi-Fi, I think the schools can take care of that in a great way. I've always said, I've said this several times, this 42 million, the last time I believe was 20 million, if I remember Javier telling me. And only about 2 million of that went into the private sector. The rest of it city consumed. I've listened to several candidates say about how great the city's doing. We've got, everything's running smooth. Let's keep moving in that direction. I hear where we're going to have a tight budget this year. And I hear now we need to replenish the city coffers. Well, I'm a little confused about what the story truly is. But I do know this. I do know that the people that have been impacted the most has been the business and the private sector, not the cities. And I've heard several people talk about their pro-business, their pro-small business. That $42 million needs to go first and foremost to make sure that you've made these businesses that several of us have said is the business is the backbone of the city. Then my gosh, we need to go back and protect that backbone. That's where that money needs to go first, and to figure out how to do it. When I listen to some of the conversation, this reminds me of the federal level when they talk about giving us a stimulus check, and then when we see what it was all spent on, half of it had nothing to do with what the whole reason for the money being given in the first place. So I have a little bit of confusion of listening to what I'm hearing, and where it is not about the city. It is about the citizen. Giving across the board credit on water and sewer and all that's a great idea, Javier, and I commend you for that. But it's not, the people that got impacted were not evenly across the board. You can carve out the people that were actually hit the hardest, and most of us know who that was. Thank you.
Thank you, Othal. Yeah,
Can I clarify?
You got 10 seconds. Javi, can hang on to that. Let me do the ID, do some news. We can lead next hour. You know what? Since we do have a floating break, and I did mention to y'all, we can take a minute for a quick rebuttal since you got mentioned. Stand by, Javier.
Okay. So right off the bat.
Javier Villalobos, go ahead.
Okay, and this is what we're talking about, understanding the intricacies of government. What I said is the reason we are okay is because we're able to replenish with the initial federal funds. Without that, we would have to increase the tax rate to have the same type of services to the small businesses, to the big business, and to every single citizen in the city of McAllen. We didn't do that. We replenished what was necessary. We helped the small businesses. We did Wi-Fi. We did whatever projects we could do. And we can do it again, and it will work like it worked this first time.
This is KURV Edinburgh. You're listening to the Rio Bank 710 KURV McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. We appreciate you checking in. Normally you'd hear afternoons with Roxanne Flores. We got one more hour of this conversation, and we're going to start next hour. That's why I wanted to clear the deck of the conversation this hour. We're going to start next hour, allowing each candidate to bring a question and put it on the table for discussion. That's how we lead next hour of this Rio Bank, the 710 KURV McAllen Mayoral Forum. Big thank you also to Juan Vega Roofing for co-sponsoring this big event. Time's 3:03. Stay tuned for news on 710 KURV.
History's unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
Woke culture is threatening our freedoms and even our police. Now, Grant Stinchfield exposes woke's secret agenda and its hidden players. Watch Stinchfield at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on Newsmax TV as he reveals the dangers. Stinchfield gives you the cold, hard truth you need to know. Find Newsmax TV on all major cable systems or get it free on Roku, YouTube, Zumo, Pluto, and smart TVs. Download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. Woke is dangerous, so watch Stinchfield on Newsmax tonight.
Hey, you should move over. Red, right, return.
Right, red, right, return.
No, just red, right, return because
No, I'm saying red, right, return, but then right to agree.
Okay, but you're on the...
I should have said correct. I know it's red, right, return, but...
You're on the left and it's red, right, return. Red, right, return.
The tides can turn quick on the water. Progressive has you covered as a leader in boat insurance. Get a quote today at progressive.com.
Oh, I was on the left. Right.
Please stop talking.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Each Rio Bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
3:05 on News Talk 710 KURV. Good afternoon. I'm Tim Sullivan. The Texas House has unanimously passed a bill that would create an active shooter alert system. The measure was written in response to several mass shootings that occurred in the state since lawmakers last met in 2019. The bill would create a system similar to the Amber Alert and would send an alert to all Texan cell phones within a certain area of the violence. The bill was primarily authored by Odessa Representative Brooks Landgraf, who has named it the Layla Hernandez Act in memory of the youngest victim of the shooting spree through Odessa and Midland in August 2019. The managers of the Texas electric grid have issued their preliminary report on the causes of the power outages that became deadly during the mid-February winter storms. ERCOT says power plants, solar panels, wind turbines, and water lines all froze. Officials say more than half of the lost generating capacity was the result of power plants unable to withstand the cold or unable to get fuel like natural gas. Today's 710 KURV People Poll, do you agree with President Biden's proposal to better regulate ghost guns? Go to KURV.com and our 710 KURV Facebook page to give your opinion. 710 KURV's People Poll, a service of Total Imaging Solutions, home of the one-penny disposable menus. Call 664-2113. Increasing clouds tonight, becoming breezy, lows in the low 70s. Right now, we're up to 93 at 710 KURV. News at the top and bottom of the hour and when it breaks and on demand at KURV.com. I'm Tim Sullivan, 710 KURV.
Catch Houston Astros baseball all season long right here on News Talk 710 KURV. Powered by Riverside Development Services and by MissionIncredible.com. Your Houston Astros play here on News Talk 710 KURV. Broadcasting from the Valley's All-American Truck Headquarters studio at PayneAutomall.com. You're listening to 710 KURV. From the KURV Broadcast Center in McAllen, Texas, this is a KURV special, a McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. This KURV special is powered by Rio Bank, co-sponsored by Vega Roofing. And now, a McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum with your hosts, Sergio Sanchez and Roxanne Flores.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Sergio Sanchez, along with co-host Roxanne Flores, the candidates for mayor in McAllen. This is hour 2 of the program. Thank you, Rio Bank. Thank you, Juan Vega, Vega Roofing Company, for today's broadcast. Shahid Rashid, Othal Brand, Javier Villalobos, Michael Fallek,
Sergio,
Vela, Whitacre. Somebody's asking me right now. Who's talking to me right now? Who's calling?
Oh, I just said about my name.
Okay, no, I wasn't calling. Not yet. Hey, stand by. Here's where you get to see, since on the ballot, Dr. Shahid Rashid is number 1 on the ballot. He's the first one that leads hour 2 with what I had asked the candidates earlier, to bring a question and put it on the table for the candidates. Everybody has a chance to speak for up to a couple of minutes. And then if we need to do rebuttal, each one of the candidates will get a chance to answer that question as well. So Dr. Shahid Rashid, what is your question to the candidates?
Thank you, Sergio. Just before the question, I just want to make a little statement because you just had a commercial break, so I can do that. I just wanted to point it out. It is very painful to hear from the mayoral candidates and the commissioners that everything is okay and we are doing better even in pandemic. It's a complete disconnect with the reality and the disregard to the problems our city is facing. It is obvious when we do not acknowledge the problem, we will not be able to solve those. And so that's the statement I just wanted to make. But my question is here, that in your planning for the city, how much value do you place on citizens' health, feminized poverty and unemployment, and gender income inequality? How do you plan to address these issues?
Let's go to candidate 2 on the ballot. That'd be Veronica Vela Whitacre. Go ahead, Vela.
You want a question?
I'm sorry, say again, Vela. Let me see if I can, we'll try to clear up the microphone. We'll try to clear up the questions with it. Let me go to Michael Fallek, candidate number 3. I'll come back to you, Vela, when we clear up the microphone issue. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so I think it's a good question, and I can't imagine anybody saying that we haven't been affected by the pandemic. I'm not sure really where that's coming from. We've all been affected greatly by the pandemic. I can tell you it's affected the social sphere, the business community, our interpersonal dealings. Mental health issues have become top of mind. We need to make sure that we're funding programs to address those important factors. I can tell you the business community has been enormously affected. Part of what I do is run hotels. The fact that we've been able to maintain our businesses, keep people employed through a long time period in which the majority or pretty much all of the country aren't traveling at all, I think is a testament to the management team that I work with and the ability to keep those businesses alive. But this is also why I suggested utilizing the Federal Rescue Act funds in the way that I did. Small business grants, job training, vocational training, housing assistance, affordable housing for those that need. We need to make sure that those with food insecurity issues are cared for. We need to take care of our community. We need to look after each other. And it is important that we do so. There is so much of the regulation that is taken from us and by the federal and state governments. The city has to abide the county, it has to abide the state, and it has to abide the federal government. So we can only put in so many restrictions on COVID-related matters. But we need to control the parts of the community that we can control. We can control reaching out and caring for our small business community and caring for all of our citizens in our city.
Thank you, Mike. Let me go back to Veronica Vela Whitacre. Ms. Whitacre, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a clarification. Just the Mike said that I was not pointing out, probably he did not hear my statement well. I was saying the mayoral candidate who are commissioners. So just to correct that, the Mike and me were on the same page with reference to what you were talking about, that we have the problems.
Mike, we're within the minute if you care to answer.
I think I fully answered the question. I think that there are enormous issues here, and like I said, we need to look after each other. We need to care for all those in our community that need assistance, and that is why I explained my answer in the way that I did.
Now, let me clarify something. I'm air traffic control here. I need to keep the traffic moving. Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay that you. I want to allow all of y'all a chance to speak and speak freely. I just need to allocate the proper amount of time. Doc, you got 30 of your 1 minute rebuttal. You have 30 seconds you can use now or wait for everybody else to speak. It's up to you.
No, that's fine.
I think his line is freezing up. Stand by, Doc. Stand by. Your line is freezing up. Okay. Now, as I promised, back to Veronica Vela Whitacre. If you want to comment for 2 minutes with the question the doctor brought to the floor. Go ahead, Vela.
Well, I think sometimes people are confused that each and one of us as commissioners make the total decision, and we do not. And so we always have to have a majority, or some of the times we're asked to even be 100%, either we're all in or we're all out. So we are 6 people on the commission. Of course, most of you know that. And all 6 of us have different opinions and different ideas. And so as we are in our meetings or we have the information, we then have to make a decision for the best interest of our citizens. And those are the citizens of McAllen. Some of those times, some of us do agree, some of us don't agree. And those of us who feel that we can rebuttal with those who don't agree with what we're asking, that's at the point that we just say, okay, these are the reasons why we should do these things for our citizens of McAllen. This is how they're going to benefit, right, with the decision that we're going to make. So, of course, it's not just one person that is making that decision. There are 6 people making that decision. At the point where it is a tie between 3-3, then that goes to the mayor, and the mayor makes that decision. As far as the citizens of McAllen, I think we've done an excellent job for many years for our citizens. And we've already done 2 grants for those who have businesses and are not doing as well as they had in the past, for them to apply for those grants. And we had $200,000 that was received by many of the businesses in the city of McAllen from those grants. We also then opened it up to home business grants so that they could also benefit from from those monies that were given out by the city of McAllen. So that we have tried very, very hard to help our citizens and to help, because it is tough times. I believe the restaurants and the hotels did very well during our pandemic. A lot of the hotels were filled with nurses from all over the United States. So I think that, we are still moving forward and we took care of our citizens. Maybe we made a mistake here or there, but again, it's a decision of 6, and if needed be, it's a decision by the mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Javier Villalobos, the answer to the doctor's question that he brought to the floor. Go ahead.
Certainly, I think the question is what value. Of course, we put value on people, a lot of value. I'm sure all of us have lost. I know I've lost friends, I've lost family members to COVID. There's a lot of value that we place in people, on human life. However, we look into the city, that's a different issue. Dr. Rashid is a doctor. He gets people healthier. The city, we help wherever we can. For example, right now with the vaccines in the convention center, but we are very limited as to what we do. We do not do medical. We do not provide medical. Even the county is the one in charge of providing medical. The state, the federal government, we are in charge. And I always say, I stay in my lanes: water, sewer, streets, public safety, fire protection. You're electing one of us to provide that for you. Now, the other hocus pocus about business and everything, that has been going on forever, and it will continue. Since 1979, every city does it. They try to attract business. They try to bring in, make employment. That's a statute. It's going to happen. We have to always think and consider what's necessary, what can be beneficial for the people. I think that the actions we took this past year were the appropriate actions. We were advised, of course, by our council, looking at the legislation, the way it passed, of course, listening to the governor's office, to working in conjunction with the county. We did what we had to do, and we made, I think, hopefully the best decisions with the information we had. I think, and I applaud our administration for their efforts and what they have done, and I applaud them for what they're doing right now at the convention center, assisting and providing vaccines for the individuals, even though the city does not do medical. We do what we can to help, and human life is very important to each and every one of us.
I can give you 30 seconds, Dr. Rashid.
Yeah, sorry, I think that let me repeat my question because I didn't have the right answers from any one of them so far. The question is, in your planning for the city, how much value do you place on citizens' health, feminized poverty, and unemployment and gender income inequality, and how do you plan to address these issues?
All right, final candidate on this issue would be Othal Brand Jr. Go ahead, Othal.
Well, I think, Doctor, if I understand you're talking about gender equality, how the city is going to deal with unemployment, and how the city would deal with health issues. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I do, Javier's, I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying about, we're not the doctors. We certainly would bow to you in that regard, Doctor. But the city has made available the facilities the city has to accommodate the medical community in order to address the issues that we've had in our community. I think they've done that as best they can to the limit with which they have to work with. Unemployment, I think that is something that all of us want to work on. I know I help. I know a lot of other people help those who are unemployed to try to get a leg up in life and move forward. Again, I think that's something the private sector does. It is not something the city does. City, they don't go out and have to try to hire 10% of the people that are employed. They can't. They don't have the jobs. It is for the city and it's for the private sector to develop those jobs. And I think it's for the city to encourage the businesses and help them make that happen. And Michael's addressed that as well. Gender equality, boy, I mean, I don't know that I would. I don't even know where to go with that one. That's the private sector. The city can do what the law requires them to do with the employees they have. If there are laws on a state or federal level that require the city to enforce laws that deal with gender equality, well, certainly they're going to do that. I know they will. what the city would do with that particular topic, I don't think they've ever touched it.
20 minutes into the hour. It's 3:20. This is News Talk 710 KURV. You're listening to the Rio Bank 710 KURV Candidate Forum for Mayor. We're going to pay some bills right now. Come back with question number 2 from Veronica, Vela, Whitacre to the candidates. Thanks for joining us on 710 KURV.
Each Rio Bank you
We
see
talk while we're on
represents
the air.
strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank
Breaking news, breaking news.
You lean in.
Breaking news.
New possibilities.
Keep up
It keeps changing every day.
with what happens next on News Talk 710 KURV
Breaking news.
and KURV.com.
each Rio Bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Thank you, Brownsville, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio.
News Talk 710 KURV and Rio Bank present McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. Got all 5 candidates on Zoom right now. You can join us at Facebook Live 710 KURV. I've asked the candidates to each bring a question to put on the table. Every candidate will have a chance up to 2 minutes to chat about this. And if we need a rebuttal, each candidate will get up to 1 minute. Veronica, Vela, Whitacre, your question.
Thank you. All of us feel that we have the strengths and the, experience and everything else to be the next mayor of McAllen. But each one of us, of course, has other qualities that others don't have. So I would like to know more than anything else, what qualities do you think are missing in our city government as we speak today?
Let's start with candidate number 1 on the list. That'd be Dr. Shahid Rashid. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Veronica Whitacre. The first and the foremost thing which is missing is that the recognizing that there is a problem. We are not recognizing that there is a problem. And the problem is that we have an 11% of unemployment, which was during the pandemic was almost 14%, which is twice the national average. We have poverty, 24%. 1/4 of the population is under the poverty line. And out of that poverty, it is very heartbreaking to know this thing that 26% of those are the women. That's what I was talking about, the feminized poverty. That's what I meant. And I also mentioned about that gender income inequality, not the gender inequality. So that's the reason, these are the problems that we are facing. We have a problem that there is a brain drain of 64%. 64% of our youth leave the valley. And what we have a consumer trade, which is basically the retail trade and the service industry. We do not have the technological industry here, which is hardly 5%. And in addition to that, 52% of we have the population, the women are 52% of our population, and they are the ones who are affected by this gender income inequality. Yes, we need to recognize these issues. We need to recognize that, yes, we have a problem with the health. We need to recognize that there is a problem. There's a flooding, the streets are bad. There's the South McAllen floods like crazy when it rains. And these are all the issues what we have. And unless we do not recognize it, we will never be able to solve it. And that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid. And let's go to the next candidate, Javier Villalobos. Go ahead, Javi.
That's great.
All mics are hot, Othal. All mics are. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Veronica, what was the question again, just to make sure?
All right.
Veronica,
you got to repeat the question. Veronica, repeat the question, please.
As we all have experience and we all have, we all have been, in business and everything else, and we all, God.
See, even you forgot.
I can repeat it for you.
Oh, go for it.
Okay.
I want to repeat it perfectly. I never wrote it down.
I just remember the two basic words. What are the qualities missing
right.
in the city of McAllen right now? Well, if you said there was a quality missing in McAllen, what is it, Javier?
In government, if you're talking in government, I think the something that it's been missing, or something that's missing now and in the past, and I think we're addressing it a little bit more, is consistency with keeping our citizens equal. And what I'm talking about is we started helping out the South area this past 2 years. I think if we had been doing that for the past 20, 30 years, it would have been a lot more beneficial, and the South would not look the way it looks right now. We need to go better the South. I think we're starting to do it now. I think we need to continue doing that. I think it's a weakness that maybe, I'm sure it was not intentional, but look, the engineering, the everything, the infrastructure was done differently back in the old days. If we had, let's say 20, 30 years ago, start rehabilitating the South, it would have been equal, at least a little more equal to the North. We got to start doing that. I think we've already started. We just put in 100 and something plus lights. Their parks, we're finally taking care of them, and we really haven't. The parks, there's a lot of things that the South has now that before they didn't. Look at Cascade Park, look at the swimming pool. I think there was a disparity between the North and the South, and I think we're addressing it now. So if there was a shortfall on that, I think we hopefully are addressing it.
Michael Fallek, did I skip the line on you, sir?
Just wanted to make a remark here that South, I came here 23 years ago, and I see the South the way it was before. And about the parks, you can go and look at the golf park, you can see it yourself. And as far as the flooding is concerned, there's nothing changed. You just go and look at the pictures from 23 years ago and compare it with right now. Yes, McAllen, yes, there is a problem, and we need to face it and fix it.
Okay, you took
and
seconds of your minute, Dr. Fallek. Go ahead, Javi. 30 seconds, a minute for you. Go ahead.
Sure. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad you addressed that, because if you take time and go to the South, you'll see Cascade Park, you'll see the rest of the parks, you'll see what's been going on with another 100 something plus lights, which were not there 2 years ago. So I'm not talking about the past, I'm talking about now, the present, and what's going to happen in the future. There's been the flooding issues in the South, they don't have the issues they had before. We passed the bonds. There's been 38, if I remember correctly, 38 projects for flooding, for drainage, and we're still finishing some up here in the North. This last time over here at Ware Ridge, there was about 40 homes that flooded. We're addressing it right now. You can't even pass through Auburn because the construction's going on. Yes, we can see the problems, and we have been addressing them. And so that's why I keep on telling the voters, make sure you understand and don't get scared into voting for something that you have no reason to be scared of.
Just wanted to
talk. 30 seconds. Go ahead, sir.
At this point, right now, if you just go to the Palmview area where that the KURV, there's the road, which is the Vela road, and you can see that there were 4 people died not too long ago, and there are no cameras, and there is a park just next to that does not have any lights. That park does not look like a park. So I'm not talking about the past. I'm talking about the current conditions. I walked every street in South McAllen, and the people, they really are looking for a change. They deserve a better living and a health.
For your rebuttal, that's it for the rebuttals on this question for you, Doc.
Oh, man. I didn't get my chance.
Veronica, you got the minute rebuttal. Go.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Southside, Dr. Rashid, I will let you know that, yes, we have improved it tremendously. Maybe you didn't recognize it, 5 or 6 years ago, but just to help Javier in the lights, we changed 173 light bulbs just on the South side in the last 2 years. We have added sidewalks all through the South side area. Also, Palmview, we did a remodel and a redo about 2 years ago. So we have paid attention to the South side. We have helped a lot of the businesses on the South side. We have improved tremendously and added a lot more amenities to the South side. fully got Wi-Fi also, for the school districts, for the schools in the South Side. So maybe you were not as completely aware of what the South Side looked maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I understand we have a long way to go. And as Mr. Villalobos said, because he wasn't sure, with all of the past leadership. But now that is why I spoke earlier to say that it is so important that we represent our district, because we then will truly be heard and we will listen to what our constituents in our own districts have something to tell us, and then we can improve.
Michael Fallek,
sorry, thank you.
With your 2-minute response, Michael, go ahead.
Thank you for that. What I think is missing is vision, the ability to think long-term planning. I hear often when speaking with constituents that all we do is react. We have an issue that takes place, we attack it. We have another issue that comes up, we attack it. But that we are not thinking long-term. We're not understanding how to build the entire community for the future. This takes creativity. It takes flexibility of mind. We need to look into where the economy is moving. Part of the reason I think that we aren't attracting as much business and as much investment to our community as we probably should be able to is because we're doing things that in the same way that we've always done them. But we need to find a way to get Tesla in here, for instance, or we need to go out and find who the next Tesla is going to be. We need to have long-term plans to increase the opportunity in our community, to collaborate with our school district, to train for the next generation of jobs. This is a hugely important factor, the ability to collaborate with stakeholders in our community and to build with a long-term vision is critical for our success. We ought to be working hand in hand with our school district, for instance. We shouldn't have a joint meeting with the school district every 3 or 4 months. We should have a city representative at every single school district meeting so we know what they're doing as they're doing it. When we see something from a city perspective that we think the school district could help with, we ought to involve them in that process and in that collaborative discussion. If there's new things that are coming out of the economy, we can have conversations now so those programs can be built and be ready for us to utilize and bring in more investment into our community.
Thank you, Michael. Stand by, folks. Stand by. I need to pay some bills. We didn't do a minute worth of news. Doc, you're first with a rebuttal. Coming back for a minute. Time is 3:32. This is the Rio Bank 710 KURV McAllen Mayor Forum. Join us live on Facebook, 710 KURV.
Do I get to answer the question?
This is News Talk 710 KURV.
3:33 on News Talk 710 KURV. Good afternoon. I'm Tim Sullivan. Several injuries being reported after a shooting at a business in Bryan, Texas. Shots rang out this afternoon at the corporate offices of Kent Moore Cabinets in Bryan. A nearby school has been placed on lockdown as police reportedly still search for the gunman. Wall Street, the Dow closed up 57 points today. NASDAQ rose 140. S&P 500 gained 17. It's going to be partly to mostly cloudy tonight, becoming breezy. Lows in the low 70s. Hot again tomorrow, could get up to 100. Right now, 93 at 710 KURV. News at the top and bottom of the hour, and when it breaks, and on demand at KURV.com. I'm Tim Sullivan, 710 KURV.
Each Rio bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
It's your Houston Astros home opener. Later tonight, your Astros host the Oakland A's. Astro launch at 6:35, lift off at 7:10 on News Talk 710 KURV.
Each Rio bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like to thank every customer that helps make Rio Bank one of the leading banks in the Valley. Come grow with us. Rio Bank, your kind of bank, your kind of banker.
Broadcasting from the Valley's All-American Truck Headquarters studio at PayneAutomall.com. You're listening to 710 KURV.
Time is 3:35. Newstalk 710 KURV. Rio Bank 710 KURV. McAllen Mayoral Candidate Forum. I'm going to give a chance, as promised, Dr. Shahid Rashid. A quick comment, 1 minute, up to 1 minute, on what Michael Fallek had to say to Veronica Whitacre's question. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I have stated that earlier, and I'm stating it again, that all the 4 mayoral candidates are the part of the administration. And here we are listening that, we ought to do this, we ought to do that, but why we have not done that? They've been in the office, combined their public services over 100 years. And still we have the flooding, we have the bad roads, we have the bad lighting. And the Mike was he's on the board of the zoning and the planning and zoning. And we have a 5% of our industry the technical industry is only 5%. Why we didn't plan it so far? Why we didn't address all these issues which are doing while he was in the office? And yes, we have to do all those things, which I am just saying that that's the reason that I jumped into the race, because these things have not been happening. I'm a physician, I'm not a politician, but these things did not happen. And that's the reason we are sitting it right now to make the things correct.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Othal Brand, go ahead and answer the question, sir.
Veronica's question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
The one you restated.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, we live in a time, I talk to millennials every once in a while, and it amazes me the distrust they have in government in general. I think it makes it real hard for all of us that are running and for those of us that serve to gain and have that trust. And I think it's very important in order to try to regain. Do not assume that they trust us. You have to gain their trust. And I think the way that happens is through what you demonstrate. And it's not just vision like Michael talks about, which I think is huge, but it's about transparency. It is about a public servant's spirit. That y'all aren't here, and I'm not here to lord over the people we serve. We are here to stand beside them, help them. They are the ones that we need to be listening to, not our own wisdom and not all of our own little group. And we get together as a board to decide what the rest of them are going to do, whether they like it or not. Making the hard decisions. Well, you don't make those hard decisions till after you've talked to those groups. I think that's some of the things that I think still need to be worked on in our city, Veronica. I do feel like you and Javi both Javier, being on the board, as the rest of us are not. And you talk about the 38 drainage programs you've got. Well, that's a lot of programs, and I do believe it is kind of a catch up to me. It's not being ahead of the curve; it's kind of playing a catch up. And I will tell you, it's not uncommon in government to play catch up, because no one argues with you when there's a problem. Then you're the fixer. The problem is when you step out and there's not a problem, but you're going to step out and make that visionary decision, and people's all going to beat you up in trying to make that decision and be that visionary. And that's hard to do, because you get beat up more for that than you're ever going to get beat up responding to an emergency or something.
Move on to the next question. Thank you, Othal.
Thank you.
Michael Fallek, your question for the candidates. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so actually the question I had written down was dealing with the South Side development. Let me just say, in speaking with constituents as I'm walking different neighborhoods, one of the common refrains I hear is that there's not investment in that community. There's no grocery stores, there's no banks, there's no ATMs on the southwest side of town, and nobody understands why that is. So I think we probably beat that issue to death here, so I'm not going to ask that. So let me just ask simply the other candidates, what do you think the single greatest mistake is that the city has made in the past recent memory?
Let's start with candidate 1 on the ballot, Dr. Shahid Rashid. Go ahead, Doc.
Mike, please repeat it, because my connection is a little bit
repeat the question real quick, Mike. Go ahead.
Do it again, please. I'm sorry.
What is the single largest mistake the city has made in past recent history?
the greatest mistake is that that we should have addressed that immigration issue in a better fashion. That they have not had the facilities, they were not proactive in addressing the immigration problem. We have a lot of immigrants who were coming and we were not prepared to handle that crisis. We were not ready that how would we be able to test those who are coming in and how we could be able to keep our citizens safe in this environment. We did not have the proper facilities to host them, and we did not have the humane way of treating all these conditions. So I think that was one of the greatest mistake. What we did is that we did not have a proactive approach to this problem, because it's not just like a one-time problem. It's been happening over the last several years. And our approach has always been a reactive, not a proactive. So in my opinion, that not only this immigration, but also look at the freeze, look at the power breakdown. We were not prepared for all those things. So I think that, the single mistake is that lack of planning, lack of foresightness, and not only this thing, that we did not have a proactive approach to all these problems.
Mike Fallek asking, what's the biggest mistake in recent history for McAllen? Candidate number 2 on the ballot, Veronica Vela Whitacre. Go ahead, Vela.
Thank you. I believe that one of the greatest mistakes that the city of McAllen made in the last couple of years for me was the pandemic. We were not as forceful as other cities around us. I was always told that we had to listen to the governor, and we always had to listen to Richard Cortez, because we could not make individual city decisions. And I think that hurt us a little bit more than supported us. The Rio Grande Valley has always been a different animal. We've always been able, we've always taken care of ourselves. And I think that they didn't understand that where we lived, and that we were a hot spot. And I think we should have had the ability to make our own decisions. I think that we should have been able to make our own decisions, to wear a mask way before we asked people to wear a mask, to social distance. I think we should have shut the businesses down, everything down for 3 weeks instead of just 2 weeks. To maybe that would have curbed a lot of the number of people who was contacted with COVID. I just think we could have better helped our citizens and the city of McAllen by being proactive as a community and as leaders in our city, and taking care of our own citizens instead of waiting for direction from Austin or from the county, because we are so close to, we were a hot spot, and I think we hurt more than we helped. Towards the end, of course, we got better, but I think at the beginning we could have been more proactive.
Dr. Rashid wants the rebuttal. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm very delighted to hear from Miss Veronica that finally she acknowledged, yes, we have a problem. And she agreed to that yes, the pandemic has not been handled accordingly. And that was the reason. These are those reasons which I have been voicing all the time that made me to run for this office, because that has never been addressed. And I'm very happy that me coming into this race, making everybody acknowledge the problems, and they're all fighting to look for the solution. And that's the reason I'm running for the mayor.
Let me get Javier Villalobos to answer Mike's question, biggest mistake, recent history for McAllen. Go ahead, Javier.
Well, first of all, I'm going to have to kind of disagree with Doc and Veronica, because we really had no authority. We did what we had to do regarding the issue, and that's all we could do. However, I think we've already discussed the issue that one of the biggest mistakes we've done is the disparity between the North and South. I think we need to fix it up, and I think it's going to take a lot of money to be able to do it, but I think it has to be done. So that's something that we will do. It's going to take a lot of money, I'm telling you. But once we do that, the tax base will equalize, and it'll help the North, and it will benefit the South. And when we're talking about pandemic, I feel, our Mayor Darling took a lot of hits because, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. Mayor did an excellent job, but he could only do what he was allowed, what he had the authority to do.
Right.
Okay.
20 seconds, Doc, go.
Okay. Javier, I understand that the city has certain limitations in every aspect of the budget, but it's very unfortunate. It's just for the information of all of you that do you know what is the health budget this year? It's 2%, which is 2.5%.
We're done with the rebuttal, sir. I got to move on to let Othal Brand go ahead and answer Mike's question because of mistake, recent history from McAllen. Go ahead, Othal.
Michael, I'm glad you asked that question.
Good.
This is going to sound.
I'm glad that you're glad.
You know, it almost might sound personal, but I don't want you to take it this way. But I will tell you the biggest mistake I think the city of McAllen is trying to do is take over water district number 3. We have performed excellently for the city of McAllen of the 3 districts that serve the city. We are the only district, even the cities that have their own diversion point and their own ability to pump out of the river have not done what we've done to guarantee the reliability of water to the city of McAllen. I tell people all the time, you can have the best schools, you can have the best government, you can have the best roads, but if you've got no water, you've got nothing. If anybody that looks at the map of the valley, if you look at the growth of South Texas, all the growth that you see is inside a water district. Even Raymondville, who's pumped all the way to water from Delta, and Rio Grande City, which had a water district that they took over years ago. But I think the millions of dollars and the tug of war that we've had between each other for years has been a wasted effort. That we have performed well. We're not a duplication of anything. Our total budget for this entire city to guarantee 100% of the water at times is $1.5 million out of you guys, while you guys are looking at a 300, or the city is looking at a $367 million budget, and y'all are worried about the water district. I think the people on our board they've always been McAllen people. They've always looked after the city of McAllen. I think that's one of their biggest mistakes. And that may sound personal.
Thank you, Othal. Javier Villalobos, your question for the panel. Go ahead, sir. You might want to turn on your microphone, Mike. Javi, turn on your microphone. 3, 2, 1, go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make it real simple. What do the candidates think is the most important enterprise fund and why?
Let's go with candidate 1 on the list, Dr. Shahid Rashid. Go ahead, sir.
Javier, could you please repeat your question?
Real quick, Javi, go ahead.
Yeah, what enterprise fund do you think is the most important and why?
It's just the signals are not.
Okay, let me. What fund that creates money do you think is the most important and why?
Let me see that. Can you hear me?
Pass on the question, sir. Do you wish
Can
to
you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. Do you wish to pass on the question?
Okay. Hello. Javier, you're talking about the enterprising fund, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. The right now in the valley, our biggest trade is the sales trade, and which generates like billions of dollars. And yes, that is our biggest asset, and that asset has to be utilized in creating more businesses, so that we should not be a consumer society. Rather, we should be a society which could be able to do the manufacturing jobs and should create more revenue. That instead that we should be just selling the products as a middleman. So our biggest trade, our biggest strength is the sales trade. And yes, we have to diversify it so that we should be ready for these kind of situations which just has happened, like the pandemic, and so that we could be able to survive in these difficult situations.
Candidate 2 on the list, Veronica Vela Whitacre. Go ahead, Vela.
Okay, so I hope I get this correct. An enterprise fund, of course, is from a large organization such as the city.
A money-making activity.
Veronica?
Okay, a money-making activity. I'm asking. In the city government, we don't have only the fundraisers, not the fundraisers, but the events that we have, and those are through our through Joe Vela, which is our events coordinator. So those funds, of course, are used to go back to help us and support, for instance, the convention center, the McAllen Performing Arts Center. So those funds are, those generate, funds for specifically those reasons. Otherwise, your funds, we have enough funds in the city. Now, can other organizations use those types of funds? Yes, but I think in city government, it's very, very rare and far in between for us to use those types of fundraising or fund, asks or whatever, however you want to say it for that.
Michael Fallek.
Yeah, so this isn't necessarily the largest dollar-wise, but I think the bridge revenues is one of the most important fund-generating activities that the city has at its disposal. We've invested heavily in our international bridges, and it's our location and our bridges that allow for so much of the activity that goes on in McAllen. The ability to move goods and services across the border, to be able to service manufacturing plants on both sides of the border. The Maquila Twin Plant designation and activity has set McAllen and the Rio Grande Valley apart for so many years, and it has really put us on the map nationwide, worldwide. It is the reason that we get visitors from all across the world. It's the reason that we reach out to companies in Taiwan and Japan and China and other countries to invest in our community, to locate in our community, to make investments even when they're on the other side of the border, because we have our bridges that allow people that are living here to look after their investments on both sides of the border. So I think it's that bridge revenue that really sets us apart. Again, we need to open up our bridges to get maximum effect. We need to increase the sales tax revenue that we've been missing out on over the last year. The bridges are incredibly important to the city and our region.
Othal Brand, go ahead, sir. Your answer.
Well, Javier, it kind of sounds like an insider question, but just happening to have the budget here and looking under enterprise funds, I know it may surprise you that the biggest projected revenue of the city under enterprise funds is water. Then you have the wastewater, the sanitation, and then you have the bus terminal, and then you have the bridge. So if I just take it off your question, just out of the book as I read it, water, and probably water it is the biggest revenue generator of any enterprise fund in the city. Thank you very much.
I want to just say one thing.
Okay.
I want to answer.
Stand by. Raise your hand if you want to rebuttal real quick. Okay, Veronica, go. 1 minute.
All right, I misunderstood the enterprise funds as fundraisers, but so my mistake. And this is not, a jab, Othal Brand, but that is why we want to take over Water District number 3, because we
understood.
So I just wanted to say that. So yes, in all of the different areas that you just read are definitely in our favor. So I just wanted to clarify that I went the wrong way. Thank you. But I know exactly where I'm at now.
I'm reminded of that scene from Liar, Liar, the attorney. And the truth shall set you free. All right.
Hey, at least I'm not afraid to admit it. I went the wrong way. But thank you, Othal Brand, for bringing it up about the water.
Also,
yes.
You need to bring a question.
This is what makes it fun.
Okay, 1 minute, Javi, go.
No, this is what makes it fun. We all have different opinions, and we respect each other, and that's something that I admire about our opponents. So thank y'all very much. I don't have a rebuttal.
All right. Othal, you got a question for the panel. Go.
No, I don't have one.
All right, very well then. Then since we're looking at the really tight clock right now, I am going to give a final opportunity. I need to manage my time. See if 1 minute each candidate. 1 minute each candidate. Closing thoughts. Let's go with candidate number 1, Shahid Rashid. Go, Doc. I don't see the doc there, so let me go to Veronica Vela Whitacre. 1 minute of closing argument, closing statement.
I want to thank again Sergio and your staff for hosting us today. It was really very important that the city, the citizens of McAllen, and those even around the Rio Grande Valley are listening to us. And hopefully, we answered most of their questions. If we haven't answered their questions and they still want to visit and speak with us, I'd be more than glad to take their calls. If they'll just call the city 681-1000 and ask for our city secretary, and then she can relay the message to me. I have no problem with reaching out to anybody that does want an answer or have a question or wants more information on anything that we spoke about today. Again, I just want to remind everybody that our commission is strong. Our city is strong, and it's only going to get stronger as we move forward. So I'm asking for the support and for those to believe in me as I run for the city of McAllen Mayor, Veronica Vela Whitacre. And thank you for today.
Thank you, Veronica. Let's go back to the doc, see if he's there. Okay, 1 minute closing statement. Go ahead, Doc. Well, turn on your mic, Doc. 3, 2, 1. His mic is still off. Let's go to candidate number 3, Michael Fallek. 1 minute closing statement. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. McAllen is the crown jewel of the Rio Grande Valley. We're a safe city. We've got great police and fire, schools, roads, public works, parks, and other quality of life elements here, the envy of South Texas. But we've got enormous opportunities that we need to take advantage of. Manufacturing trends, and the USMCA provides us with opportunities to bring new investment to our town. Look, I'm not a politician. I do not have a passion for politics, but what I do have is enormous passion for McAllen and our citizens. Mi mayor deseo es servir a la comunidad y siempre estará a su servicio. Like, I was born, raised, and educated here. I've been serving on numerous city and civic boards for over 20 years. I have connections to the business and educational communities, and I will have the ears of our county, our state, and federal representatives. I've built a number of businesses and created hundreds of jobs in McAllen. I understand budgeting, and I believe that I am in the best position to lead the city forward.
Thank you, Michael. Javier Villalobos, closing statement. 1 minute. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, once again, thank you very much for the invite. And these things are fun. So sometimes we know the answer, sometimes we don't. The last forum, they asked me a question about global warming. I didn't know. But anyway, I respect all the other candidates, and hopefully this is going to be a real good, nice, clean race. Anyway, when I talk about myself, I talk about honesty, integrity, and transparency. When I ran the first time, that's what we talked about. Now, knowledge, experience, and skill. When I talk about knowledge, is what I know. Experience, how long I've done it, and skill, how I've done it. I've been very successful in what I've done, and I want to bring this to our great city of McAllen. As your commissioner, I think I've made excellent decisions, and even sometimes we disagree on things. But I've always tried to do what is best for not just my district, but the whole city. I ask for your support, for your vote to be the next mayor of McAllen.
All right, let's see if the doctor's microphone is on. Dr.
Hello.
Shahid Rashid, go ahead for 1 minute.
My dear friends and colleagues, our beautiful city of McAllen is blessed with every ingredient to be a booming economy, being next to Mexico and the hub of metropolitan statistical area. A young and a vibrant population. Unfortunately, we have the highest rate of unemployment, brain drain, and wealth drain. We will reverse this vicious cycle by diversifying our economic profile to that of a manufacturing and technological industry, which in turn will shift the revenue stream inwards. We will offer financing programs for women to initiate small businesses, for financial independence, as they have suffered the most during this pandemic, especially our working single mothers. We will offer our youth the scholarships, loans, and paid internships for technical and vocational trainings to enhance our technical workforce. We will make sure that our police and firefighters and the city employees have the competitive salaries in the region with the post-retirement benefits, appreciating the risk they take to keep us safe. For all who are watching and listening, I pledge to you with all my heart that I will serve with compassion, generosity, and thoughtfulness. God bless you all.
Bless you too, brother. Othal Brand Jr., 1 minute, closing thought. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I think that I should be given a point just for this one entity that brings the most money to the city as far as any fund that they have. That demonstrates some good business sense. Thank you, Michael, for that question. But all kidding aside, and all of us are here to try to convince you who your next mayor should be. And I will tell you that I believe that I have the most experience of an elected official in doing so. I have been in the position with 2 boards I've been involved with, I've said over and over again, and believe that the opportunity that those boards have given me to be in the position I am makes that same position for mayor a shoe in as far as what I've been doing already for the last 16 years. I do believe, as others have said, you need a businessman on that board. It is a business, and you have no businessmen on the board. So you listen to staff, but you don't ever take it 100% of what they say if you're a businessman. Thank you.
Thank you. I know it's been a very long day. You had another forum that you attended today. Thank you so much to our candidates. You'll see them on the ballot in McAllen, Dr. Shahid Rashid, also Veronica, Vela, Whitacre, Michael Fallek, Javier Villalobos, Othal Brand. Thank you, Rio Bank. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roofing for today's broadcast.
Thank you so much.
Each Rio bank you see represents strong leaders and good people. We'd like